always so hard doing these things.
Because you know what's coming.
I know, it's like, ah!
You know what people are going to say. And it's
yeah. So, welcome to another episode of Charlie Drives. Totally preparing for the hate to come, but hopefully not too much hate. But today is going to be quite an interesting video because I'm here with George, and George has brought here this lovely classic Defender, which we will do a bit of a walk around, and then we'll do maybe spot the difference between the two. We're not going to be doing a driving comparison video today, but it's more about just looking at the two cars and discussing the very controversial topic of the new Defender and why it gets so much hate. I'll leave George's Instagram details on the screen now, as well as in the description below. But thanks a lot for joining us today, George.
You're welcome. Be interesting.
Yeah, it should be interesting to see what the comments say. As you will also see, we are keeping our 1 meter plus social distance. So yeah, let's get on with the video.
There's something about you that caught my eye. There's something so true that sparks a light. And I don't believe in love first sight, but I can't deny this thing I found. I'm not saying that you would change my life, but what
We have got the two Defenders lined up with each other. Firstly, George, what is your opinion of the new car as a sort of die-hard Defender fan?
I'll probably get hate for this, but I like it.
Yeah.
I think it's smart. It's a different car, and if you can see it as a different car, then you'll understand why it's so likeable, comfy. Probably, I don't know the capability of it off-road, but it's probably a great car to drive, and you get that daily comfort. Probably a bit more usable than the older 110s every day. But yeah, as I say, I don't know what it's like to drive, but in terms of differences, I think it's completely digital versus analog almost now. So,
Cool.
yeah.
Cool. And it's your dad's car, and he doesn't like it, does he?
No,
No.
Dad doesn't like the new Defender. He's not a fan. You would have seen his reaction when he saw it.
It was pretty much like that. So yeah, quite funny. But anyway, let's go and have a look at the car in more detail. So we're going to go and just have a little walk around of the old Defender first.
Yep. So this is a 2007 Defender 110. It's the 2.4 Puma engine, which we've had now for 4 years. It's got about 90,000 miles on, 50 of which we've done in the last 4 years. In terms of modifications, we've done a few visual modifications, such as the roof rack snorkel, which is half plumbed in, extra checker plating, upgraded the front grille and lights, and the best modification we've done to this is a stage 1 remap, taking it up 40 brake horsepower and about 30 newton meters of torque, which makes all the difference in terms of drivability. It's originally 7 seats. We've taken the 2 out in the boot for the dogs. We use it weekly, taking the dogs for a walk, shooting, fishing, driving about country lanes and things. It's been hardcore off-roading a couple of times, and it's very capable, even though it is the long wheelbase with the side steps on. Still very, very capable. So interior wise, it's pretty standard with all the main features you get with the Defender. The only things we've changed are the steering wheel, slightly smaller. My dad's quite broad shouldered, so it's easier for him to drive with the smaller wheel. We've upgraded the radio and sound system, and just added a CB radio with a custom cubby box as well. That's about it for the interior. Other than that, you've got all your knobs and buttons which perform all your different functions. Probably the biggest and best difference between the new and old as well.
Interestingly, there's quite a lot of carpet in this. Is that standard?
Yeah, the carpet's standard. We've retrimmed some bits of it.
Yeah. So the interesting thing that, because I know you've got these nice sort of hardcore rubber mats and stuff.
Yeah.
But if we
similarity, because you also have carpets, wouldn't it?
Well, you'll like this. So if we look at, maybe we'll go around here. So the cool thing about this is you can take the carpets completely out, and straight under there you've got a washable surface. You could probably get a pressure washer. I don't know if you'd want to do a pressure washer, but you could definitely maybe hose that out if you've got some muck in there. So that's quite an interesting difference.
Yeah.
Cool.
So yours is standard with the plastic.
So because Yeah, so I think because this is the luxury, you get so this is the HSE luxury, you get the carpet, but in a way that is not a bad option either, just having it without the carpet. So if you were doing like some particularly sort of muddy walking or whatever, you'd probably just take all the carpets out. Cool, I like that. So another interesting fact, and one of my pet hates, but actually George pointed this out to me earlier when I was telling him about it. So one of the things I really don't like about the new car is these silly buttons here that you have to press to, if the car is locked and you've got the key in your pocket, and clearly it's not working because the key's not in my pocket right now. but this button will lock and unlock the car. So what you can't do is you can't open the you can't normally just walk up to the car and open the door with the key in your pocket if it's locked, like you used to be able to in the old cars. And George suspects that it's possible that they were trying to replicate this little thing here. So that's quite an interesting little fact, if it is a purposely engineered button for that purpose. Cool. So let's look at them from the rear then. So from the back, obviously on yours, you've got your ladder.
Yeah, we've got the ladder.
Yeah.
Different wheel cover. Obviously the windows are slightly different.
Yeah.
We've got the side step there to get back into the boot and tow bar as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's about it. We've also upgraded to the LED lights because you get
Cool.
standard regular bulbs.
Okay.
Not like these fancy new ones.
Fancy new ones. Yeah. The new ones are pretty cool though.
They are very smart.
I have to admit.
They are smart. Yeah, I admit.
But I think, you know, and as you said, like, and I totally agree with this as well. Like the classic Defender, it's really good for if you want to mod it, if you want to add modifications to it. But as you said, quite rightly, you're not going to sit here with the brand new one and start drilling a ladder onto the side of it. Could you imagine what my wife would do if I actually stood outside with a drill doing that? That would be, yeah, not a good idea. Yeah, obviously you can get a ladder, but yeah, I mean, only if you're really going to sort of get onto the roof regularly, sort of thing. I mean,
we use the roof rack for all sorts. We sail a lot, so we can get sails on there. We've had fence panels, logs and things when we're out and about in the forest, and yeah, it's pretty useful. It has its moments, so cool. Handy feature to have, and it looks smart. So
cool. Now we've got the two cars side by side from the back. We're just going to look at the boot space between the old and the new. So George, you guys of course have done a fair few modifications to the back of your Defender here.
Yeah. So obviously we have two Cocker Spaniels, so we've got the dog crate here, keep them in check, and then to keep them, just to give us a bit more storage whilst we're in here, we built this locking drawer so you can just slide a load of stuff in there and keep it out of the way of the dogs. Cool,
very good.
We did initially take out, there was two folding seats in the back here, which came down and folded up, but the legroom was limited on them, and there's only 4 of us in the family, so we've taken those two out. We can easily put them back in. It's a 20-minute job.
Yeah, okay. Interesting.
But other than that, I think it's quite a spacey, roomy boot.
Yeah.
The only difference I can really see between this and that boot, similar in size, but these side kind of coving above the wheel here where the seats would be is much more prominent in this than that, so you probably get slightly more boot room in the new Defender. Okay.
The one thing that a lot of people have asked about is the door actually, and a big concern about the new Defender is how much more space the door takes up. I will include a measurement on the video here, so we'll do that, because a lot of people have asked actually about fitting a trailer and getting enough clearance, so you can actually see that the standing very it's really hard to get the angle, but the new Defender does seem to the door seems to take up a lot more space when it's fully open, so that is something to be mindful of. Let's just have a quick look at so you've got a dog cage for yours, in the back of mine, excuse this box and my laptop, but there is a nice little feature if you were to have dogs, and that is this little thing here. Little air conditioning for your sheep. So yeah, That is something that I think you get with the 3-zone climate control. So you get your kind of in the front, you get the middle, and then you've got this this one here in the back in case you did have animals that you wanted to keep cool. So yeah, quite useful. Another useful feature if you are loading stuff into the back of it, and this is happening while the engine is off as well. I can actually lower the car's suspension in the back, and it just makes it a little bit easier for people to get stuff in. And then you've also got your soft close as well, although I didn't soft close it. And
soft close versus original close.
And yeah, exactly. Bang. Cool.
At the back.
What the?
All the way up.
I don't know. It's difficult to tell. Also, we're not on totally flat ground. Yeah. But yeah, just looking at some of the sort of styling cues. So obviously you've got the wheel covers on both. We've now got the wheel cover on ours. That was not a standard feature. It's an extra. So I don't know. Is that an extra on yours? Do you get a wheel cover on the old Defender?
We bought it with one.
Yeah. Okay.
Some Defenders have them, some don't.
Okay.
Just preference.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, some styling cues that we can see here. Obviously, a lot of apparently these smaller light panels were supposed to mimic these ones, I believe. These kind of like little light panels that you've got. You guys have upgraded yours, so they're LED ones. So that's quite cool. Then you've also got this that sort of goes all the way down the side of the car, which is pretty similar to how it looks on the classic Defender as well. And if we kind of go side by side, we can see how that is very similar. There's quite an interesting little view. So if you get right down underneath the car, you can see how some of those, you can definitely see the ground clearance is definitely not quite as good as it would be on the classic Defender there. So you've got a lot more ground clearance under the car than you do on this side. So the entry and exit sort of ground clearance behind the wheels is fairly similar, and actually arguably on the new Defender it could be argued that it's slightly shorter. So but the ground clearance below is clearly not quite as high as the classic Defender. As we can see here, the Alpine window in the classic Defender actually is a lot more central to the car's roof. But if we compare that to the new, you can see that the Alpine window there is a lot more rearwards, which is quite interesting because it means that if you did have a set of passengers in the back and you had 7 seats, they would get a better view out of the Alpine windows than perhaps the people in the middle seats. But just looking at it from the inside, can you actually see much out of them anyway?
Not too much, it's an awkward angle.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, in that you can see a fair bit. So if you were on a safari or something and you needed to look up in the trees,
or giraffe.
Yeah, you'd be able to see much more of the giraffe's head than you would in that, where actually from here you can't even see you can't see a damn thing. So I think, to be honest with you, it's more of a kind of, I guess it's more of a light inside the cabin type of feature rather than anything to actually really peer out of. Mentioned in a previous video of mine, which you can watch up there. The interesting thing about the classic Defender is that you get a full door card there. As George has said, you don't get any storage in the back seats within the door card. But interestingly, if you look at the classic, you get a door card, but you also get the exposed paintwork, which looks quite cool, but you also get a bit of storage. It's not a massive amount of storage, it's probably for a water bottle or something, but still, you get a bit more storage in the back of this thing.
Same in the front as well.
Here are the door cards in the front of the classic Defender as well. So again, in the front seats, not much storage space. But yeah, it is pretty rugged. And that's exactly what the classic Defender is built for. So as you said earlier, George, it's been remapped.
Yep, so it's had their stage 1 just kind of plug and play remap.
Yep.
And it's up about 50 brake horsepower, 40 or 50 brake horsepower, and 30 newton meters of torque, which doesn't sound a lot, but in a truck like this,
it makes a difference.
Especially the torque, it makes such a difference.
Yeah.
It's so much more drivable on a daily basis with the extra power, much more comfortable, sit on a motorway at a much more comfortable speed as well. So it just makes it a little bit more usable for daily use.
What's it like on the motorway at high speed?
High speed, it's not too bad.
Do you get sort of, does it get a bit unstable?
Much wheel wobble. With the bigger steering wheel, we found a bit of wheel wobble.
Oh right, yeah.
We'd sit normally about 65.
Right.
In this.
Yeah.
The only time it gets a bit scary almost is when it's really windy.
Right.
Because it's such a box and it's so floaty on the suspension.
Yeah.
It'll shake around a lot and you'll feel it push you around, but it's not too bad at all.
Okay. Yeah, I did find that in my old Jimny when it was windy. That was a scary thing to drive.
Probably a lot more road noise in the older one as well compared to the new.
Yeah, definitely. The sound deadening in the new ones, it's pretty good. I mean, we're obviously going to be taking that to Spain. As I said in a previous video, we're going to be driving that down to Spain at the end of July. So it'll be interesting to see what it's like fuel economy wise. Do you know what this one is, fuel economy? How good it is on fuel?
It doesn't have a gauge, it doesn't tell you those things. But
you have no idea?
I think read online they're probably about 25 to 30 miles a gallon on a good day.
Alright, okay. So. Interesting little feature as well. There's this little hook that kind of stops you from being able to open the bonnet while you are driving, which is I don't think I've ever seen that on a car before. But let's go have a look at the bonnets. Let's go have a look at under the bonnets. Did you know that there's a little hook that stops you from opening the bonnet while you're driving, while you've got the door shut?
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It's quite interesting. I've never opened this. There we go. Modern.
Ingenious.
So this is the engine bay in the new Defender. So this is what the engine bay looks like in a 20. So there. You can never do it. You can never do it as well the second time round. This is what the engine bay looks like in the new Defender. Gives you an idea of what a 270-mile Defender engine bay looks like. But yeah, as you can see, lots of plastic and things covering it up. I'm not going to start ripping that out at the moment. Don't want to piss the wife off too much. But yeah, you get an idea. And then this is what this is the classic. So this is a 2.4 litre.
Yep, 2.4 Puma engine. It's done about 90,000 miles now, and it was new in 2007, so coming up to 13 years old.
Amazing.
Never had any really big mechanical issues with it. A few oil leaks here and there, but if it didn't leak, it wouldn't be a Land Rover. We've just got round. We need to replace the master cylinder on the clutch, but that's the first major work that this has required. And we had a Defender 90 County before this, and that had done 250,000 miles with no major mechanical issues. So
amazing.
That was they're pretty solid, and it's aged well for being 13 years old.
Yeah, definitely. No, it looks impressive. Very, very cool. Look at the front. Obviously, there's a lot of differences between the two fronts of this car. And again, from a sort of ground clearance perspective, you can really see the difference in height between the two cars. Now, this is actually something that's got recently added onto the site as part of the urban pack. So you've got this, well, I don't know, it's like a scuff plate or something. But essentially, if you look at the two, that is sitting a lot lower, and I believe I've got the suspension raised to the highest setting at the moment, but that is sitting a lot lower than the Classic. So I definitely think that the Classic Defender will be more capable off-road for sure. And I you know, a lot of the target market audience are going to want to be a little bit more careful with the new Defender. So the checker plating, is this like, I know you've added this on, but is this ever a standard thing on the Classic Defender, do you know?
I'm not sure. I think it came as standard with it down the side rails.
Okay, yeah.
The step there.
Okay.
And then we've added it onto the bonnet. There's the parts, the aftermarket parts for this car are so easy to get hold of. Yeah. Many manufacturers, and just gives it that bit more protection, and it's quite handy as well if you're trying to load things up on the roof rack.
Of course, you can just stand on it. Yeah, and it's metal as well. So Obviously you've got the checker plating on the front here, but I definitely wouldn't want to put my feet on that because it's plastic. So yeah, I mean, again, it is aesthetically, they've done the right thing, but practically I don't think you're going to be using this functionally at all. And also look at that, sort of bouncing around all over the place. It doesn't look very stable, to be honest. Looks a bit cheap. So one final point to mention is the wheelbase. So actually I have seen a bunch of YouTube videos talking about the length of the two Defenders. Obviously yours is a 110, this is a 110. I did measure our car in a previous video, which you can see, and the wheelbase in the new car is actually longer. So the two front wheels here are, I think we've moved the car since we looked at it last time. But yeah, the front wheels are pretty close. But then if I walk to the back, you can see that there's a significant difference between the wheelbase on the new one. So that the new car is obviously a little bit longer. And actually we did line up the fronts to be almost exactly identical in length. And as you can see here, this is the back of the new Defender. The classic Defender is just sitting inside that gap. It's probably easier to see it from here. So yeah, you can see that the old Defender is slightly shorter. Okay, George, so final verdict on the two cars then.
So I absolutely love our Defender 110.
Yeah.
It's a brilliant car. We get great use out of it on road and off road, walking the dogs, fishing, shooting, driving around farms and trails, the occasional off road. I can see the market for the new Defender. It's a really nice car, comfortable. You get all the extras that you'd want in a modern car. Would you use it for the same purpose as the old Defender? Probably not. But then again, it's to your personal taste. If you want to use it like that, I'm sure it's more than capable of doing the same, if not similar things. But like I say, I mean, a lot of people don't like the new Defender. I like it for what it is. It's different. If they made the same car forever, that would probably be boring, as good as this is. Times change, things change.
Yeah.
And in terms of like people who say like, oh, farmers just want a classic Defender to rag around in, a lot of farmers I know now, they use Japanese pickup trucks. The pickup truck is the go-to rather than a Defender. Yeah. As good as the Defenders are. So yeah, I personally like the new Defender. I would probably choose an old one over it. However, I don't have anything against it really. Yeah. No, definitely, I agree. I mean, I'm a massive fan of the classic Defender. We nearly bought one, and one of the reasons why we didn't buy one was because I'd be so afraid of falling in love with it and then we'd be stuck with it, which wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing, but having the big new Defender come our way, and it was going to be Alex's car, so yeah, she needed something that was going to be appropriate for the use that she needed it for, and she replaced that directly with a Discovery Sport. So you know, I think that I think the new Defender definitely has a good place in Land Rover's market lineup, and of course, like, the market for using something like the Defender is probably a lot more limited now, isn't it? Yeah, I think because of the price of it, obviously stopping production, they're a bit more expensive to get hold of. Yeah. And they don't make them anymore, but yeah, I'd say you still see a lot about, and people still use them as intended, as we do, and as many other people do. So. Yeah, definitely. Cool. All right. Well, thanks, George, for joining us on this video. Thanks for showing me the new car. Yeah, no worries. Hope you. Well, obviously, I know you like it, so that's what you said. But yeah, anyway, thanks, George, for joining us. Yeah, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Makes a massive difference. And yeah, we'll see you for the next one. Let us know in the comments what you think between the old and the new. And yeah, hopefully we'll do a follow-up video at some point. Hopefully, maybe out and about driving it, just to give you guys a bit of a feel for the differences between the two on the road. Anyway, take care. Cheers. Bye. What are you doing? Just pumping the clutch because the cylinder is broken. Old Defenders are great. Yeah, of course. I love an old Defender. Why wouldn't you? No, they are good. They are awesome. We like them. We're a big fan.